International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The 25th of November. Preface. Since the creation of the world, there are records about the violence against women. Over the centuries the women got some rights, but the violence is still there no matter which race, social class or place in the world you are. Still one of the most widespread, persistent and devastating human rights violations in our world today remains largely unreported due to the impunity, silence, stigma and shame surrounding it. The Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women issued by the UN General Assembly in 1993 defines violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results in, or is likely to result in, physical, sexual or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or in private life. What are the consequences of violence against women according to the UN? The adverse psychological, sexual and reproductive health consequences of violence against women affect women at all stages of their life. For example, early set educational disadvantages not only represent the primary obstacle to universal schooling and the right to education for girls, down the line they are also to blame for restricting access to higher education and even translate into limited opportunities for women in the labor market. Violence against women manifests itself in physical, sexual and psychological forms. Intimate partner violence, battering, psychological abuse, marital rape, femicide. Sexual violence and harassment, rape, forced sexual acts, unwanted sexual advances, child sexual abuse, forced marriage, street harassment, stalking, cyber harassment. Human trafficking, slavery, sexual exploitation. Female genital mutilation, and child marriage. Learn the signs of relational abuse. Your partner keeps track of everything you do. They prevent or discourage you from seeing friends, family, or going to work or school. Your partner insists that you reply right away to their texts, emails, and calls, and demands to know your passwords to social media sites, email, and other accounts. Abusive partner may act jealous, including constantly accusing you of cheating. They may attempt to control how you spend money and your use of medications or birth control. They may make everyday decisions for you, such as what you wear or eat. They may be demeaning. They may put you down by insulting your appearance, intelligence, or interests. They may try to humiliate you in front of others and attempt to destroy your property or things that you care about. An abusive partner may act angry or have a quick or unpredictable temper, so you never know what might cause a problem. They may blame you for their violent outbursts and physically harm or threaten harm to you, themselves, and members of your household, including children or pets. They may hurt you physically, such as hitting, beating, pushing, shoving, punching, slapping, kicking, or biting. They may use, or threaten to use, a weapon against you. They may be sexually abusive, including rape or other forced sexual activity. They may incorrectly assume that consent for a sex act in the past means that you must participate in the same acts in the future. They may also incorrectly assume that consent for one activity means consent for increased levels of intimacy. An abusive partner may threaten to turn you into authorities for illegal activity if you report the abuse, or if you resist. Who are at risk? While gender-based violence can happen to anyone, anywhere, some women and girls are particularly vulnerable, for instance, young girls and older women, women who identify as lesbian, bisexual, transgender or intersex, migrants and refugees, indigenous women and ethnic minorities, or women and girls living with HIV and disabilities, and those living through humanitarian crises. Why is it important to act? Violence against women continues to be an obstacle to achieving equality, development, peace, as well as to the fulfillment of women and girls' human rights. All in all, the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, to leave no one behind, cannot be fulfilled without putting an end to violence against women and girls.
As we all know, our world has changed. Over the past few months, we've seen deep inequalities surface, but we've also seen opportunities to build and change things for the better. One of the lessons we've learnt from the pandemic is that the home is not a safe place for so many women and so many girls who are subject to domestic violence. But as many countries open up after COVID-19, we do have a chance to create a new normal, a future without violence against women. Even before the pandemic, the numbers were staggering. 1 in 3 women would face gender-based violence in her lifetime. 1 in 3. As UN Women's Goodwill Ambassador, I have traveled the world and I've had a chance to hear from many survivors of violence. Their stories have been excruciatingly painful at times, heartbreaking, and horrifying. But the women themselves would remind us, and me, that this is a problem with a solution. But the solution can only exist if we provide help. So that's what I'm doing today. I am trying to create awareness and build more awareness. UN Women works at many different levels to prevent and address violence against women. They support organizations that provide survivors essential services. Services such as shelter, healthcare, access to justice, access to care, and access to the law. They also work to accelerate legal reforms, which is so needed. And we are always working to increase the awareness on this issue. And that's what we're asking you to do. So, to play your role in ending violence against women, we need you to learn about the issue, make your friends and your community aware of services and resources, ensure that you know who to call if someone is in danger, volunteer your time if you can, or if you have the means, donate. Donate at unwomen.org. So thank you for listening to me today, and anything you can do to help is greatly appreciated by all of us. Thank you.
Right now, many people are trapped in their homes with an abuser. This is the shadow pandemic. In one weekend, calls to domestic abuse helplines in the UK went up by 65%. In the US, Asia, and pretty much everywhere, reported numbers are rising. These aren't just numbers, they're people you might know. If you think someone is in trouble, check in on them. Ask them if they're okay and if everything at home is okay. Educate yourself about domestic violence. Know the details of local services like helpline numbers or shelters. If she tells you or you suspect that her life or the lives of her children are in immediate danger, call the protection units or the police. The shadow pandemic is spreading right now. Let's help each other safely right now.
If you, or someone you know, is in immediate danger, call 000. Other helplines are 1-800-737-732. The National Sexual Assault, Family and Domestic Violence Counselling line for any Australian who has experienced or is at risk of family and domestic violence and or sexual assault. 131114. Lifeline national number which can help put you in contact with a crisis service in your state. 02-6280-0900. Domestic Violence Crisis Service, DVCS. crisis intervention and counseling, family violence intervention program, education and information for the community. Take action. 10 ways you can help end violence against women during a pandemic. 1. Listen to and believe survivors. Don't say, "Why didn't she leave?" Do say, "We hear you. We believe you. We stand with you." 2. Teach the next generation and learn from them. By empowering young advocates with information and educating them about women's rights, we can build a better future for all. 3. Call for responses and services fit for purpose. Services for survivors are essential services. This means that shelters, hotlines, counseling and all support for survivors of gender-based violence need to be available for those in need, even during the coronavirus pandemic. 4. Understand consent. Freely given, enthusiastic consent is mandatory, every time. 5. Learn the signs of abuse and how you can help. There are many forms of abuse, and all of them can have serious physical and emotional effects. If you're concerned about a friend who may be experiencing violence or feels unsafe around someone, review these signs and learn about the ways to help them find safety and support. If you think someone is abusing you, help is available. You are not alone. 6. Start a conversation. Violence against women and girls is a human rights violation that's been perpetuated for decades. It's pervasive, but it's not inevitable unless we stay silent. Show your solidarity with survivors and where you stand in the fight for women's rights. 7. Stand against rape culture. Rape culture is the social environment that allows sexual violence to be normalized and justified, fueled by the persistent gender inequalities and attitudes about gender and sexuality. Naming it is the first step to dismantling rape culture. 8. Fund women's organizations. Donate to local organizations that empower women, amplify their voices, support survivors, and promote acceptance of all gender identities and sexualities. 9. Hold each other accountable. Violence can take many forms, including sexual harassment in the workplace and in public spaces. Take a stand by calling it out when you see it. Catcalling, inappropriate sexual comments, and sexist jokes are never okay. Create a safer environment for everyone by challenging your peers to reflect on their own behavior and speaking up when someone crosses the line, or by enlisting the help of others if you don't feel safe. 10. Know the data and demand more of it. To effectively combat gender-based violence, we need to understand the issue. Relevant data collection is key to implementing successful prevention measures and providing survivors with the right support. Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent, Collect. The last year's theme for the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women is Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent, Collect. You can make a difference. Start your own conversation about gender-based violence. Using the hashtags on your social media. #GenerationEquality. #OrangeThuOrd. #SpreadThuOrd. Mewo would like to thank the volunteers who contributed to this presentation. Contents and Multimedia, Luciana Silveira.